Hello, my name is Luna, and you're listening to Infinite Souls, a podcast for that real talk about consciousness, spirituality, and realizing our infinite potential. Mucho, mucho love and light. Hello, Infinite Souls. Welcome back to the Quantum Inquisitors Takeover. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Pew, pew, pew. Those are my sound effects. Hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to do there. How are you guys doing? How's John and how's Sifu?
Fantastic.
That's what I like to hear.
Odlić not at a pravda, which means excellent. This is the truth. Everything is sunshine and rainbows, right? Well, I've got the sunshine. There's a rainbow there somewhere.
Yes, I saw it. I saw a little twinkle. That's wonderful. Well, I'm glad you guys are great. I love that answer, John. Great, that you're doing great, because a lot of the time people say, okay, I'm all right. You know, just say great. Like, fuck it, yeah, you're breathing. Fuck yeah, I'm great. You have a roof over your head. You have some clothes, you know, hell yeah. You're great.
Great and grateful.
Yes, great and grateful. Yes. I like that one. Yes, I love that. So I'm gonna get that tattooed now. I'm great and grateful. I like that. Okay. Oh my gosh. So today, for the people who are listening, if you have been following along, this is the last and final episode of the Quantum Inquisitors. Hopefully I will have you guys back soon, very soon, you know, on here, on Instagram, wherever. So since it is Friday, I thought we would do a little Friday's philosophical questions. Just because I just want to get into some interesting topics, or some mainly topics that expand your mind, because I feel like as a collective, that's what we need more of: mind expansion, open-heartedness, and open minds, right? Open and available, and because that way we can help each other, you know, and it's not so much of a competition. And I think that it leads me to my first question, which is my Friday's philosophical question. And so so I'll give you guys a little backstory of the question, how I came through it. I was in the shower. I usually get downloads in the shower because, you know, you're relaxed and you're like in the kind of in a meditative state. It's a meditation, you know. And sometimes I do meditations in the way I breathe and get into gratitude. And also water holds memory. So all that water, wherever it's traveled from all the way here, everything that's been through, you're able to get knowledge from it as well. And so I was remembering when I was a little girl, because I've been trying to really authentically show up for myself with confidence. And I used to be confident when I was really, really young, confident that I would be famous, confident that I would be a famous singer, right? And then I had like my stepbrother tell me like to shut up when I was singing and stuff like that. So it created trauma, and that made me very shy to sing in front of people, right? But I wanted to connect with that little girl that was so confident in herself, because that little girl remembered her divinity, her connection to the divine. She remembered that she was source. And so I was thinking about her, and one of the things that I felt in my heart when I thought about her is what I used to think about when I was a child, which was peace on earth. For some reason, very young, I started to think that I wanted peace on earth. I don't know if it was maybe something I seen on TV, like maybe a hippie movement. I don't know, the Doors movie. I don't know, something, you know. And so my question is, do you think that there ever was peace on earth before? And if you know about a time that there was, please share. And along with that question is, why isn't there peace on earth now? Or do you think there is peace on earth now? So those are my philosophical questions for today.
Well, I'll start. I guess I feel like there definitely has been peace on earth at some point in time. I don't know, at least at least when we kind of first started on this planet, and we were more harmoniously living, heart-based living, more expanded, obviously more balanced. And I really do truly believe that we're going to have peace again on the planet, but that only starts within us. Each of us have to find peace within ourselves, and then it ripples out to the external. But otherwise, everybody thinks peace is just going to happen and someone else is going to do it for them. But it starts with the individual. So we all play a role, right?
Indeed, very, very true. I'll answer the question with a question. Firstly, my seafood would say something mystic like, has there ever been peace on earth? Is there peace in you? Because how can there be peace on earth if there isn't peace in you? For me, I'm very much into the Tao, the way, the balance. And the Tao, the Tai Chi symbol is actually about this flow. Everything flows. So there's this interesting concept, like we talk about perfection or like peace. And I think, like the perfect relationship or the perfect point in your life. And I think perfection exists. I really do think it exists, but I think it has a lifespan. Everything comes and goes, change. The only predictable thing in change is that it's gonna change, that everything changes sooner or later. The point for Taoists is that they learn to harness that change. They learn how to tap into it and find the Tai Chi, the silver mist, the way, because you have the bigger the up, the bigger the down, the bigger the down, the bigger the up. But if you can sort of ride in the middle, you'll find that peace, that bit in between. And if you can learn, it's almost like the calm in the storm. And then if you learn to know how big that calm was, you could actually stay in that calm, in theory, in a hurricane or tornado. You could stay in that calm forever, if you could, keep moving with it. So there is I think peace can be achieved. How long it lasts, that's another question. But I do also feel like the seafood thing of that that the outer reality is a projection of our internal reality. And there's lots of different Taoists. There's the Barefoot Doctor, there's the Dragonor Shaman, and there's a Taoist called the Cloud Whisperer. And the Cloud Whisperers, they did really cool. So they could change weather. They could, if there was a feud going on in a village, they would go to the edge of the village. They would sit there for a couple of days, and suddenly the feud would stop for no apparent reason. They were and actually the FBI, those guys, they had actually done experiments where they had 2,000 people all the way up to 7,000 people meditating, and the city-states or city of Washington, they dropped the crime rate by 20%, and actually the whole world for a whole week they dropped the crime rate by 70%. Crime rate and acts of terror. And what they did was that these people focused on peace and love. And what the Cloud Whisperers do was something similar. They would look within inside themselves and meditate within inside themselves, and they would find what's happening on the outside. There's a version of that inside, and they would look for that within. And once they found it, they would balance it. They would settle that down. They would send it love, chi, and shen. They would, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. The hono, pono, and they would clear that disturbance. And then once that disturbance is cleared, magically, the outside reality will do the same. So that's where that question comes from, is there peace within you? If there's peace within you, you'll find peace around you. But as any good seafood should say, I'm at a beer festival. What do I know?
It's right. You're at a beer festival. What do you know? You know a lot. I'm sure there's a lot to know there. So I want to ask. I want to continue asking you guys, John. So you said there was peace on earth before. When do you think there was peace? Was it like maybe Atlantis?
I mean, I would say, yeah, like back when Lemuria was, I guess before the whole war kind of broke out and whatnot, before we started descending in consciousness. That's how I would put it, I guess. We want to play in lower states, and yeah, I feel like you're coming from already, your natural state is peace, joy, love, abundance, and then we're descending into a consciousness that's the opposite or the contrast to it. So yeah, I would say that for sure. Then I don't know, between then and now, I'm sure there's been periods of overall peace, but maybe, I don't know. That's a good question.
Yeah, as you're saying that, I'm just thinking like, so hear me out. When you are born, when you come into existence in this physical plane, you are technically your peace, your love, you're that light, right? You're just pure. So you technically have experienced peace on earth in that present moment, because the present moment is all that exists when you're born. So yeah, there was peace on earth once in your life. And then you descend into your own conscious trauma after you get the trauma from being reared from ages 1 to 6. I don't mean that with the pun intended, but it's still funny. But so then you descend into, and then that gets me thinking, that's what heaven and hell are. That's what heaven and hell is for me. And I think that heaven and hell can be experienced here on earth, right? I don't think it's a place that you go to. I think it's a place in your consciousness. And so if all that is the present moment and all that we are is loving consciousness, then we always have the ability to tap into the peace. But it's our own demons, if you want to call them demons, shadows, energies, traumas, programming, all that, that create the shadow and the disharmony that what is the opposite of peace, right? And I think that all of us, there isn't peace on earth now because we all have a lot of collective trauma, and especially it's getting cleared out right now. And so we've all descended to the depths of our own mind in some way, in one shape or form, even though we may try to deny it. But each person has to awaken on their own, in order for them to want to go and heal those parts in themselves so that they can have peace in those troubling times. And that peace is kind of like, what is peace, right? That's another question. What is peace? What's your definition of peace? Like, peace is like, it's just it's a space where time doesn't exist, people don't exist, your trauma, all the bad things don't exist, because it's kind of like suspended outside of time. But that's how I feel it. But you still can see from observance, because you're in a higher perspective, you can see what's happening before you. So you can be in a room where people are fighting, but you still are in that observer seat where there's peace. And you have to be in the observer seat, I guess, at that point. But what is your definition of peace? It's hard to define.
What I would say peace is once you clear the distortions that the mind has created for us, where all our suffering really has stemmed from, and you enter in that heart space where your true self, the true expression, the truth of who we are can kind of fill you more. I feel like peace just comes naturally at that point. If we can continue to do that, you kind of gather more and more peace for yourself, and then you kind of eventually project that out to others. Yeah, that's why I'd say peace is, yeah, just get out of the mind into the heart.
Yeah, I like that one. I agree with that one. Peace. Like peace is like, what makes you happy? What is happiness? Well, what's happiness to you? Is I've known people who felt at peace in the middle of a rock band, in a rock band, listening to heavy metal, and they're, it's the happiest I've ever been, and I feel like really, chilled and relaxed. So yeah, well, like what, I think the point is, and I think maybe this is the issue, is that everybody is trying to define everybody else's peace rather than actually know what it is for themselves. And if peace is subjective, if peace is your own internal feelings and understandings, then for there to be world peace, everybody has to be going in their flow. Everybody has to be balanced within them and being in their own personal happiness. So that means, and I think, like you said, has there been peace? I definitely think there's been versions of it. I definitely think I heard of the Ubuntu. The Ubuntu tribes in Africa were a self-governing system where, and it could be 5 people, it could be a whole city. In actual fact, there's a guy called Michael Tellinger that's doing it now in different places all over the world, and they've had like a city of like 100,000 people. And what it is that everybody gets to, everybody donates so many hours every week to do all the chores of the city, and then they do all the chores of the city, and then you have all the rest of the time to do whatever you want. So whatever brings you peace, whatever brings you. So if you want to do microgreens, if you want to create organites, if whatever it is you want to do, the rest of your time is yours. And we have totally the opposite of that in society. Everybody's like desperately earning money to pay for the things, and it's like, this is a controversial thing for some people. We made money up. Money, the Matrix. Money is the Matrix. We literally made, pardon my French, we made shit up to then go and buy more shit. I mean, how crazy is that? And it's like, especially if you can find ways to have unlimited resources, or find people who do that, I think you'll find peace. So yeah, I definitely think peace is achievable, but not in the way that they think, not in the way they're doing it right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree with everything that you said, Sifu, and John. Peace. It's true that people always are like trying to tell people how to find peace, but they don't find peace themselves. You feel me? Like, go find the peace, and then when you truly are that peace, you just radiate peace, and people just know that you're peaceful without you saying or telling them, and they'll be asking you, hey, what you doing, let me know what's your secret, and they want to be around you more and things like that. So yeah, find that inner peace within you, and then if that just starts to radiate, people around you it's contagious. I don't want to say that word up, maybe, I don't know, but not at this moment. But yeah, peace is contagious as fuck, okay? Like, more contagious than anything. So please be peaceful. And to go on about what you were talking about, the tribe that they all have a chore and everybody lives together, everybody's harmoniously living with Gaia, with Mother Earth, and with each other. And then they get to autonomously do whatever the fuck they want to do with their time and their creations, or what they want to create. They want to work on microgreens. They want to do the Taoist arts, you know, whatever they want to do, they get to do. And I actually went to a mountain village a few years ago, maybe a couple of years ago, up north in the redwoods, like right close to the border. And it's super, super cool. Everybody also works for like 2 hours a day or something like that on the land. They work the land, or they feed the animals or whatever, or they do construction or whatever they're good at. And then after that, they get to do whatever they want, right? And they live rent free. The food is for free. They plant all the food there. There's animals, all kinds of stuff, and they have Airbnbs, and that's how they make money. And so it's super cool. So they have peace there, you know. Like I thought it was very nice. But society has created these constructs, right? Like money, and people. That is one of the things that has stolen peace from a lot of people. And as a society, at least here in the United States, they're very money hungry here, right? And so that's why a lot of people don't have peace also here. And just to show you how much they don't want us to create societies, how much they don't want us to know that we can grow our own food. Like, do you realize that they only plant in public, they only plant male trees, like trees that don't give off fruit, because they don't want to have free fruit for homeless, right? For people who don't have homes, who live on the streets, who need food. You know, if food was accessible to us, then these billionaire companies would not be making money. We are the ones who supply them with our money, right? Because we feel like we need to get our food from them, and we can plant our own. So I know a lot of people don't have space to plant, you know, trees and things like that, but there are some vegetables that you can grow easily on your windowsill. You know what I mean? And that helps. So I think that the future of society, if we want to find peace, is to live with the land like that. How Sifu said.
And you're already seeing it too. Even in the city, they have people all of a sudden, like more and more people are getting into growing on the rooftops and using whatever space they have, because you know you can really grow a lot in a small amount of space if you do it right, or if you do it efficiently, I guess. And you're just seeing a lot of people are getting the hint. A lot of people are like, okay, this is probably where we should be moving, and it's a lot more sustainable. If you had a bunch of little farms in a town, say something happens, you know, tornado comes through, you know, at least a third of the population of that city or state or whatever isn't going to go hungry now, because you have a bunch of other little farms that might be, you know, also being able to supply. So it's just I feel like we need to get back to more self-sustaining, or at least more sustainable within like a local community, in order to like really thrive more, and at least to have everyone's needs met to some degree, at least food wise.
Yeah,
I think I was just going to say, as the band starts off again, I think for those on audio, it's Boggy, Sifu Boggy, shaking his head like a madman. I think the other thing to consider is that if reality, if you look into law 1, rather law 1, they talk about like we're all source, we're all God, and we're all here to learn. We're all here to experience different things. Now, the thing with peace, again, me being slightly controversial, maybe, is that if you think of Christmas every day, you know, people, I wish it was Christmas every day. After a couple of 100 days, you get bored because it's Christmas every day. You're getting everything you wanted all the time. And is the issue, it's controversial, is the issue that the problem with peace is that after a while, people sort of somehow, sort of start to disrupt it, or there's a certain people, or the whole idea of peace is an individual thing. So unless you have individual peace, if you're doing the peace for one if I fed you tomato and basil sandwiches all the time, if you love tomato and basil, it'll be awesome. If you don't like tomato and basil, sooner or later, we're going to have an argument. So you know, it is that peace doesn't last because we're seeing it from a distorted perspective where we think it has to be one way, it has to be this. And also we live in a universe where we're here to learn. So maybe peace, you know, what is ascension, what is enlightenment? Isn't that a form of peace, that you get past that certain level, you see more of what you need to know? You know, when you're very stressed, you see very limited amount of stuff, but then when you meditate and you calm down, you see the bigger picture. So is peace a state of mind, a state of well-being? But hey, what do I know?
What I'd also say is, yeah, that's why we're raising our consciousness, because it's like I forget, was it Einstein or something? There's some quote like, you can't solve a problem with the same level of consciousness that created it or whatnot. And I think that's why the planet has to raise in consciousness. Otherwise, we'll just continue to do the same thing we've been doing for thousands of years, fighting, arguing, and, you know, greediness, resources. We've been doing it for so long. I think we're finally ready. At least some of us are finally ready to continue on to a much more harmonious, you know, relationship with one another.
Fuck yeah, we're ready. I can speak for my community. Fuck yes, we are ready. So constant peace or continuous peace is not possible, right? It's not, because it's always, our emotions are always changing and everything. And we need the contrast in this society, in this dimension. Sifu, or John? This is a question.
Well, I'd say if you can find peace now and still go through, you know, difficult times or challenging times or be triggered, but still overall, I feel peaceful if we're centered in our heart, you know, because our heart is more neutral. The heart has that neutral, unconditional space of love. And like, if we're in our minds or whatnot, like, I don't know, at least for me lately, I'm finding that I could still have a difficult day or a challenging day and still be like, you know what, I'm feeling pretty peaceful inside, which is odd, because before it would just cause chaos and stress and anxiety and whatnot. But you know, that comes and goes. You kind of flow in and out of it, I think, as you work on yourself.
It's funny, my name, Borghi, actually means to find the peace, find the calmness within the chaos. You know, hence I could be very chill, talking about philosophy in the middle of a rock concert, maybe a festival. And yeah, it's that idea of my CFUs did a lot of training on this with me, and it was a very interesting concept. You know, they'll put you in situations where mayhem is going around you, you know, things are falling, and they want you to be calm and cool. They want you to be centered. Some of the best, I used to be a baker and a chef, and some of the best chefs in the world are the ones that when everybody else is running around like a headless chicken, they are still cool as a cucumber, you know, and getting things done. So there is that thing of you know, is finding your peace, finding your center within you. And if you can do that, I really really believe that we are all consciousness, we are all the source. And I think is like those FBI case studies back in the day of 5,000 people meditating reduced the crime rate in the city of Washington by 20%. 7,000 people worldwide did it for a week, and they reduced the crime rate and acts of terror worldwide. How many people could it take? You know, think of that. If we get more and more people doing it, you want to start a revolution, do it through that. Do it through meditation. You know, stop. You know, trying to make people think like you. Do it through that sort of mind control. Do it through controlling your inner self to affect the outer reality. And Bobby, head to the music. See you throughout.
Yes, the DJ's back up and ready, Sifu, over there at the party. He's partying, but he's also doing a podcast on the side. He's the king of multitasking, guys. Well, My next question was, how do you find peace? And I think Sifu answered that he finds peace mainly through through meditation, because that's my answer. I that's how I find peace, through meditation. On the days that I don't meditate, because there are some days now, I used to meditate twice a day, but I'm going to be real with you guys. Recently have been days that I have not. I've only done it in my sleep. Like, I'll take a nap and I'll put meditation on. But that doesn't, for me, that doesn't technically count. But that's how I find peace, through meditation. And it's been a tool that I use for that, and for everything. You literally can heal anything through meditation. And that's how I stay healthy as well. My immune system, because I used to have a lot of immune problems. Like, I used to get sick all the time when I was younger. And so not only find peace, but your body also finds harmony, which is also its own peace, in its own way. So, John, how do you find peace? What do you do to find peace?
Well, I mean, for me, it's kind of what I said earlier. Like, yeah, just clearing where all like my thought processes have really just caused a ton of suffering and chaos. Because honestly, I feel like the only time I've ever found peace is when I'm completely like still and silent within me, where there's no thought. That's why meditation probably helps a whole lot, because you're silencing that mind. You're shutting it down. You're trying to tap into a deeper version of you, like your heart center or your soul or spirit or whatnot. You're trying to tap into a higher aspect of yourself. And your mind's always going to pick like a polarity. It's always going to make something right, wrong, good or bad. It's going to send you for loops, and you're thinking about this, thinking about that. And for me, that's when I feel completely out of peace, is when I'm not balanced and centered in that stillness. So if you can try to do that as much as you can, and just see and observe yourself, where you're in your mind versus like that neutral observer, heart space kind of space instead. It's very subtle.
Yeah, so just being in the observer seat, and that is basically what meditation does. It helps you to get into that state of mind, get into who you really are, and there are many practices that you can do for that. I think that meditation is a great tool, and I would say, John, that's mindfulness, right? You can call it that, what you practice, in a way. And you can do, what else can you do, Sifu, right? You can do qigong. I've only dabbled in it, but it's really awesome. And yoga, moving your body, getting into your physical body, gets you out of your mind too. So anything that really gets you out of your mind, even music, singing, making music, singing along to your favorite song, fucking dancing. I like to put on some of my favorite music, or some music that like pumps me up, and just dance. And it gets me out of whatever funk I was in. Like, what was I worried about? Oh, it's insignificant, right? Because we worry so much about these little things that I call them first world problems, because there are like real problems out there, and some people are complaining about getting their order wrong at Starbucks, so let's just keep it down to earth here. So I think definitely peace is something that you can have consistently throughout your life. However, there are waves of it, and there's gradients of it, and levels of it. So there's times where you might feel disconnected from your peace, if something like crazy unexpected happens, it might shake you up a little bit, but it's always there. It's just like a lower, like the volume is just lowered a little bit, and you just gotta tune back, kind of align back to it. So I think it's all about alignment. So I'm curious if you guys have any questions that are for Philosophical Friday for today. Anything that you guys think would be interesting to talk about? You got something, Sifu?
Okay, so right, so I just add this. So just go back to what we talked about very quickly. Then, but another thing, the thing that I think will, again, to find peace, to find your balance, for me, it's always a way that I have lots of ways of doing it, not just one. So I use meditation, qigong, energizing exercise. Meditation is Shen Gong. In Chinese, they call it Shen Gong. But meditation, swimming is a meditation. Playing music is a meditation. Walking is a meditation. If you drive a car properly, without people talking in your ear, and just focus on the road, that's a meditation. Meditation is an interesting thing, but meditation, so Shen Gong, Qigong, energizing exercise, any exercise that generates more energy than you started with. And then Neigong, which is Taoist yoga. Now, they are the ways I also connect, supercharge myself, and also I connect to the universe, connect to source. So my question for you guys, the universe, whatever you call it, whatever it is to you, how do you connect to it?
You know what I'd say? Well, it kind of ties in both of like how we would connect to it and also like how to find your peace. I'd say just really just being in the present moment, right? And I feel like that's where number one, you're in peace because you're not in your mind. You're not living in the past or the future, but you're here now. And I feel like that's pretty much like the only place to really connect it to a higher aspect too. You can't connect to it in your mind. You have to connect to it here now, in like a heart connection. Or you feel it. Like it's more energetic, I guess, than anything. Yeah, you feel it. Yeah, you just be here now, really. How else could you connect if you're not here now?
That's true, because you can't. When can you connect? Well, the way that I connect to source consciousness is I close my eyes and I take a deep, deep breath. The breath connects me to source. As soon as I open my lungs and fill them with air, I am filled with love, because I'm like, wow, I didn't even have to ask for that oxygen. It just was given to me for free, right? And it sustains me, and I don't pump my own lungs. They pump themselves on their own, like, thank you, source, right? And so that puts me in a grateful state. And then when I have my eyes closed, I already feel source, I already feel like connected by then. But what I do is I will call upon source, creator God, my guides, angels, ancestors, whoever I want, to bring forth what type of energy I want, or help or assistance. And then what I do is I imagine, and there's a name for this technique. I am not sure the name of it, but you imagine a light above your head entering the top of your crown, and the light going through your body all the way down the center, all the way down to your root, and coming out of your feet, and have your feet flat on the ground. And whether you're sitting or standing is fine, but your feet flat. And so feel and see that light, like a lightning bolt, going through from the top, being source, connecting through you, and connecting with Mother Earth, with Pachamama. And then you can reverse it and see the energy going upwards from Earth to source. And that connection right there, that heals your DNA. So, and you can do that just in your imagination. Once you get better at it, like you start doing it more often, you can do it like really fast and instantly. And I start to see lights. Like I see a big light come in from bottom, and from the top, It's usually like white or golden. Yeah, so I don't know. I think Sifu knows the name of it. Pillars of Light. Pillars of Light, thrusting channel known as the Jedi. Oh, really? So I'm a Jedi, huh, Sifu?
Yeah, that's the whole joke. George Lucas had used very particular words to mean particular things in all that, and the Egyptian, it's Jed means pillar of light, and Jedi means the keeper of the pillar of light, and they were the keepers of ancient knowledge and wisdom in Egypt. And they also did their own form of qigong, and my teacher would say, oh yeah, they were Taoists. But when he said that, you know, because like we think of Taoists in China, he talks about the Taoists didn't come from China, didn't come from Egypt, they came from somewhere else, and they always point up. They say the Taoism, the philosophy Taoism, came from the high places, and even George Lucas based Star Wars on Taoism. It talks about the Force is Qi. They talk about the light and the dark side of the Force, which is Yin and Yang, creating Tai Chi. Even in the other stuff which Disney didn't use, but anyway, you've got a thing called the Grey Code, and the Grey Code are like the true Tai Chi Taoist, which is balancing the light and dark. So the Jedi means we came from Egypt, and it's the pillar of light. And you have the Kundalini energy, the fire that goes up the spine, and you're meant to activate the Jedi, the pillar of light, the thrusting channel in Chinese, which is the water. The light is the water, and it cools you down. So the fire and the water create the steam, or the, you know, the grey code, create the grey code, which balances that energy. The chakra energy and the meridians and the auras are balanced through the pillar of light. So there you go.
Wow, thank you. Thank you, Sifu. I needed to know the name. I knew I liked Star Wars for a reason. I didn't realize that it was based off of the Taoist lifestyle or arts, or, you know, that's just so amazing how they can make it so creative, you know, like make it into something new, but not new, you know what I mean? Still talk about the same thing, but kind of put a twist to it. I love creativity. I don't think that there are any new ideas, you know. I think that ideas are just reimagined, right? There aren't technically any new ideas out there. They're all just things that we've gotten inspiration from others, or things that have been floating in the ethers that have always existed. Interesting.
In actual fact, there was an interesting document by the CIA that stated there's a thing called Project Gateway, which talked about it was a meditation system in the 50s, but went into the 70s of how to connect to consciousness. And they said all consciousness is alive, that we talk to the universe and it talks to us through our head, through our hearts. But they also said that they now believe that all imaginations are realities, meaning all the movies that have ever been created, all the stories that have ever been created are other dimensions. That's what they were basically sort of like saying, that they were actually saying that, you know, every story that was, you know, Star Wars, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, they're all actually other dimensions that exist, and we're channeling those imaginations. So like the same with the dreams. So you have a dream and I dreamed there was this, and it's like the Taoists and the ancient knowledge says that that's another world, that's another reality, and your consciousness slips between all of them. So one minute you're here, one minute you're somewhere else, and yeah, so it's all, so when you're saying about, I don't think there's any new ideas, I think all ideas are all there. They all exist all at once. And all we do is remember it. Remember them. We're not creating something new, remembering what's already there. Maybe.
Yes, I love that. Did you have something, John, that you wanted to add to that?
No, honestly, I had never really thought of this topic. So that's interesting. But I would say, you know, maybe marinate with the idea of like Star Wars being like a documentary for us, you know, in consciousness in general, that we've already kind of lived out or are living out simultaneously, however way time works, if it's all happening now, right? So yeah, a lot of codes in there.
Yeah, that's interesting. So if you know everything that's why you see things on TV, you see them in a movie, and then you see them happening in real life in society, because they've already created that potential, right? That potential timeline, and now it's just like we're seeing it manifest, or maybe it overlaps. There's a glitch in the matrix. I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of glitches in the matrix, but no need to fear, everyone. No need to fear. Please have peace in your hearts. My whole purpose for this episode is I wanted to bring peace to the collective, because there's a bunch of crazy shit happening everywhere. And that's, you know, to be honest, in my world, there isn't any crazy shit happening. I feel very at peace, and there's not much conflict in my life. Thank God, you know. But if I do get on social media, if I do see the news, if I talk to somebody who is always watching the news or some, for example, then I may have something that they said maybe rub off on me, or maybe a word, a little drop of fear may come and stick with me that day, you know. And it's up to me to clear myself from that and find my peace again. But there are people who haven't ever known peace, who don't know what it is, who never felt it, or don't remember. They felt it before, but they don't remember. And so I would like to see if you guys have any words for someone who is struggling to find peace and is wanting to find peace right now in these times. What can they do? What words can you offer for them?
So, breathe. Breathing is good. Don't turn blue. Ada, but I can't. I'm nowhere near you to help you. Breathing affects your moods and affects your mind. When you're breathing shallow and fast, thoughts, your actions, the way you think and feel are shallow, fast, and rapid. But if you can breathe quietly and smoothly and effortlessly, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions will eventually match that. Whatever you're thinking, whatever you're worrying about, remember that if it's in the past, there's nothing you can do. It's in the past. If it's in the future, about it, know about it yet. You know, it's in the future. You can only focus on the now. And if you're focusing on something, there's nothing you can do. What's the point? You know, losing that peace. What's the point worrying about it? There's nothing you can do. Do about something about it. Do what you got to do. But remember that worry, tension, anxiety, it causes stress in our body, which that creates tension. That tension eventually leads to illness, which leads to your demise, to death. So don't worry, don't get angry, don't get frustrated, because it'll kill you. You know, learn to breathe, learn to flow. We react far better from a place, which this whole episode has been about. It's finding that center. Find that center. And there's been there's been movies about it where, you know, like there's one I'm thinking of, like the sportsman. He's hearing all the voices in his head of his parents and everybody, and you know, he's trying to focus, and it's all that noise of 60 to 90,000 thoughts in your head, and he goes, stop, now stop, breathe, and he's bouncing the ball. He's tennis player, he's bouncing that ball, and he's just breathing, and he's just being, as John said, being in that moment, just bouncing the ball, focusing on that moment, and then he takes the winning shot. And it's that whole idea is that when you're in the midst, a mix of all that chaos, you can't think straight, and you have no peace. But listen within, listen to your heart. Close your eyes, put two hands together. It's an ancient, people think it's religious, palms together. Prayer position is 10,000 plus years old. It's balancing the left and the right side of the body as one, drawing it to the heart, balance as one. Draw yourself back to that center and breathe. Breathe in, so you can't breathe in anymore, then breathe out. So you can't breathe out anymore, and repeat the process. Imagine that wave, sitting, balancing yourself on that boat, riding that wave, and just allow yourself to flow back with the heart, back with yourself, back to your center. So even if you're in the middle of a beer festival with music playing in the background, you can still find your own center. Just breathe. See you out.
That's solid advice, Sifu. Thank you. Well, Luna, what was the question again? I'm sorry, I was distracted for a minute.
It's okay, no worries. So the question, this is our final question before we end the podcast for today, but is for someone who's out there who is wanting to find peace and doesn't quite know how, what words can you offer for them to help them find peace in this crazy ass world?
Well, you brought up a good point. Like where you were finding peace with like music and singing. And I feel like I think Bashar, he always says that. Whoever, I forget his name, who channels him, but that's solid advice. Always follow your highest joy. Because I feel like when you're in joy, when you're doing the things that bring you alive, that you want to do, because it's just like you just whatever it could be. It could be anything. How can you not be in peace? You're doing exactly what you enjoy. You're living, and time, it sucks because like time always flies when you're having fun, kind of a thing, and then most of the time we're in our heads or we're doing something that we don't necessarily want to do, so we kind of pull ourselves out of that peace, and then that time kind of feels longer and it elongates, and it just seems like when you're in that, well, kind of going back to like just being in the moment, even if you're doing something you don't prefer, if you can find any sort of gratification or joy in it, it just makes it, I feel like it automatically, peace will kind of enter your space a bit more too,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You're on mute. You're on mute, Luna.
Oh, my bad. Hey guys, that's great advice. Solid advice. Thank you, John. I couldn't agree more. Finding peace. What I would say, a way that you could find peace if you're struggling to find peace and you want to find peace, you can get into gratitude. That is something that can shift your mood. Like John was saying, if you're do something that you enjoy, but let's say you're doing something that you don't normally enjoy. If you begin to offer gratitude to what you're doing, like let's say me, I don't like to wash dishes, right? But if I go and I thank each plate, like, wow, you fed me, I ate off of you. Thank you. I have a dish. There's people out there who do not have a dish, Thank you. And you start offering gratitude or being grateful for whatever you have. Get a notebook, get a pen, and write down a list of 10 things that you're grateful for. They can be big or small. You can be grateful for the oxygen that you're breathing right now. Grateful that you're alive, grateful that you can see, that you can hear, your senses even, so gratitude will shift that energy and help you do things that you don't enjoy and do them with a better peace, more peace, so that you're not sitting there complaining, so that's definitely one thing to do. And but getting your journal and your pen, also journaling your thoughts. A lot of the time we are just in our heads, constantly in our heads, and we don't know what way is up, what way is down. And so let me just mute. There you go. So sometimes when we're in our head, that can cause suffering, because when you're in your head, you're not in the present moment. Like John was saying, peace is in the present moment, right? And what else is in the present moment? Your true presence, that essence of life, that your chi, your source energy. And that's confirmation. My phone is ringing. So being in that present moment, right? So when you have a lot of things in your head, maybe things that you've carried, that you're thinking about from the past, things that you're thinking about the future, or things that other people have said around you that are now in your head and you're repeating over and over again, because your brain is a storage machine, right? So write down, brain dump everything that you have in your head. Just constantly write. Don't worry about what you're writing and what is being said on those pages. Just continue to write, and everything that's in your head, get it out. And that helps you find so much peace as well, if you're an overthinker like me. So these are all different advice for different types of people that are out there, because there's different ways of finding peace, and there's different levels of peace and levels of discomfort that people can experience, you know. So yeah, I think we've given good advice today. What do you guys think?
I'd agree.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, you guys, good stuff.
Yeah, we're a good team. We make a good team.
It's been a great one. I've enjoyed this one.
Yes, it's been so good. Thank you guys so much for joining me again today. Thank you, John. Thank you, Sifu, so much. Both of you guys are so amazing. Your brains are wonderful, and you're wonderful human beings who really are making waves in the world, whether you realize it or not, big or small, you're doing it. And I'm proud of you, and I'm happy to know you. Blessed and honored. Thank you for being on here. And thank you to anybody who's listening for listening.
Thank you, Luna. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Sifu. Honestly, it's been awesome, and I'm honored that you guys we all did this together. Really, and that I could be a part of it. And thank you for whoever's listening too.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Luna. I love both of you. You're freaking awesome, you both of you. And it's been a great pleasure doing these Inquisitors, being Inquisitors together. And I've loved it immensely. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Hasta luego. Mucho love. Until next time, I hope to have you guys on back soon. And yeah. Ciao, ciao. Bye.